Hello everyone. I'm getting comfy for a short, quick video. Feeling like dancing a lot today. I'm not very good at it, but it's kind of fun. There's some music playing upstairs. Anyway, coming at ya from the prettiest pieces in Greensboro, North Carolina. Vent Rentals, vintage pieces. They've got a cool studio where you can film or shoot photography, so check them out. I'll link them below. Thanks again, Caroline, for letting me film here all the time. Today, I just wanted to give you a very quick, fun, informal video that I'm going to tell you how to get the most out of your Instagram hashtags. What? Hashtags are actually pretty much the #1 thing that put Design by Lainey on the map in the first place. So one day, Alex texted me and said, "Babe, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 followers," which was really cool, and I was so excited. I'd recently, hit 1,000, hit 1,200. I was so pumped about it. And then a video that I posted for Valentine's Day ended up trending a little bit, and by the end of the week, I had over 3,600 followers. So it actually tripled my following just from using the right hashtags. So I'm just gonna give you a couple little tips in no real order. I didn't really make notes for this. First of all, use your hashtags. Other people may tell you different. Other people may tell you it looks a little fake. You might think it looks a little fake, but there's no doubt that it's effective. I get around 250 likes on average per photo, and if I use no hashtags, I get about 25. It's ridiculous. It makes me very sad. So make sure you use them. You can use up to 30 on a post. I always use somewhere above 20 and below 30. I try not to use 30 because I read somewhere that it was bad, and my engagement has been very steady since I stopped using the full 30. So I usually use around 22. I like to use a mix of the same hashtags all the time and different hashtags. So if you have a hashtag for your business, I think this is a good idea. I don't personally have one, but I did for a while, and I completely understand if you do. So feel free to use that all the time. If there's a couple that really relate to your industry, then definitely keep using those. So I use Daily Dose of Paper almost every single post. So our wedding photographer in Texas use TX Wedding Photographer, or use Texas Photographer, things like that you're gonna wanna use on every single post, because you're gonna wanna come up a lot on those feeds. But I think it's bad to use the same hashtags all the time, so I really like to vary it and make sure it does have something to do with the picture. But don't use all the same hashtags all the time, because then you're getting the same audience looking at them, and you might get flagged by Instagram as a bot. So make sure you're varying most of your hashtags while keeping maybe 3 to 5 that use the same every time max. So I also just try to be really creative and use a lot of hashtags that relate to the photo. So for instance, if I post a photo with a wedding invitation in it, I'll use wedding invitation, wedding invite. I even like to add the S's sometimes, so I'll use invite and invites, because those are 2 different hashtags, and different people might type in different things, but most likely the same person is not going to type in invite and invites and look at both of them and be annoyed that you use both of them. So you're going to get different markets if you do things that are similar but slightly different. And pay attention to how many posts there are. Sometimes it's not 100% accurate, so if you're curious, feel free to go to the hashtag page itself before posting your photo, because sometimes when you type in it at the top, it'll tell you, like on No More Boring Envelopes, it tells me sometimes that it has 6 million posts, and I know that's not true. So go to the page, look at it, see how many photos there are actually on it. You actually don't want to use hashtags that have millions and millions of posts. There's always a couple of those that I use anyway, but you want to stick to, I think someone told me somewhere around like 20 to 100,000 posts are going to be good hashtags for a small business, because you're going to be able to get in the top, and you're going to be able to be seen on the Explore page for those hashtags. So try not to just use like photo, because it's going to have millions and millions and millions, but use things that are a little bit more specific to your niche, and you'll have better luck because you'll be more on the top of those. So another thing that I like to hashtag is materials. So think of it from the standpoint of someone who's going to be looking for your services. So in my industry, I make stationery. So someone might be looking for invitations with handmade paper. So I might put handmade paper as a hashtag. Someone might be looking for an invitation that's got marble on it, so I might write marble invitations. And also think of like the type of place that they're going to be using these. So I'll put in a lot of times like romantic wedding or garden wedding, things like that, because I know that's something that if I were a bride and I was searching for inspiration for my garden wedding, I might just type in garden wedding and see what comes up. So anything that you can do that's going to put your photo in front of your prospective client is going to help you out in the long term. So it may not get you the largest number of followers, it may not get you the most likes like some other ones, but if you're constantly just advertising your photography services on hashtags that are with other photographers, then you're not actually going to get business from any of those other photographers. So what you want to do is actually try and get your photo in front of clients, which in my case is typically people who are engaged, brides, grooms, wedding planners, wedding venues, things like that. So this is another question of who your ideal client is. So start thinking about that. If you have any friends or know anyone who is your ideal client, maybe check out what they're doing. So for instance, I have a ton of friends who are engaged. They may or may not use me to make wedding invitations. But what I can do is check out their Instagram, see what hashtags they're using and looking at. But I can also ask them what hashtags they're looking at and how they're finding things. So using other people that are your ideal client as a reference can really help you open up some new doors. I see a lot of people using hashtags in the first comment still or the caption, and people ask me this question a lot. I used to be a first comment person because I do think having in the caption is a little bit salesy, but that's just where we are in the world. We are on Instagram as a business, and so we are trying to sell our services. So with the new algorithm, it has made a huge difference for me putting them in the caption versus in the first comment. So if you've had a big engagement drop with the algorithm, definitely try putting them in the caption and see how that changes. And another thing that you can do is look at your top photos. So now with the Instagram analytics, or insights as they call it, there's so much information. So you can see your top photos by the number that have been saved, the number of likes, the number of followers that you got from them, the number of email clicks that you got from them. There's a ton of different ways that you can order this, and this is not always going to be the same. So I used to have the ability to look at impressions, likes, and reach, I think, or engagement maybe, and all of those would pretty much be the same. So the top photos on impressions would be pretty much the same top photos as reach or engagement. But now that you can look at them differently, the top photos that have actually gotten me followers or email clicks are not the same as the ones that have gotten the most likes or the most comments, things like that. So it's a really interesting kind of dynamic, and you can pay attention, and it's all about asking yourself what you really want to get out of Instagram. So having a lot of followers is great, but if you're not converting any of those followers into business, then what's the point in having them? So if you have 1 million followers and you have 2 of them ever click on your link, then it's worse than if you have 1,000 followers, but 3 of them click on your link. And it's probably a lot less work to get those 1,000 followers than it is to get 1 million fake followers. So just be honest with yourself about what you're trying to get out of Instagram, and pay attention to what people are responding to, pay attention to what's actually getting you business. And if you have any popular photos, maybe use some of those hashtags again, because those are obviously getting people to your page that are interested in making a purchase or at least looking at your options. Also, I have not really explored using hashtags on Pinterest yet. I do hear that they have a similar positive effect, but you should only use like 3 to 5 per post. So if anyone is an expert on Pinterest, maybe you can come on and talk to us a little bit about those hashtags, whereas all of these are going to be mostly focused Instagram-wise based on my knowledge there. And one final thing about hashtags is in stories. So I am a firm believer that stories are about building the community of followers and friends and business that you already have, more so than about gaining new business. So a lot of people do solely look at Instagram stories these days, but I think for the most part, there are people that already follow you or that already are on board with you. And so I think that using hashtags in those is not the most appropriate. I also use stories very casually, as most of you probably know, just to show that I'm a real person behind kind of the perfectly curated feed. So I prefer new business coming in to see kind of the perfect stuff before they kind of get into that crazy authentic self. But feel free to use one or two in a story that are extremely relevant. I would never want to watch a story on, say, St. Patrick's Day that was not in any way related to St. Patrick's Day, because I think that would be kind of off-putting. So if you have something that's extremely relevant, feel free to use those hashtags. And if anyone has any success stories with that, I would love to hear them, because I haven't really explored it too much. But I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video on hashtagging. I know it's a very popular subject, and the algorithm is changing every day, so there's plenty of new tips I'm sure that we'll have to share sooner rather than later. Have a great day.